Hey there, everybody. How are you doing? Good. So we're going to get started. We always on our meetings, especially this time of year with sports and activities and vacations, people roll in late. I'm getting messages, I can't make it, so sorry about that. So this is how it goes. So thank you for being here. Super excited. I want to just go through, we're going to go through quite a bit today, and I want to spend, some good time on some activities, games, funds, different things like that. And so I want to just go through what our goal for the night is tonight. Really, it's to get to know each other a little bit more. I'm guessing there's a lot of us that don't know each other, right? You've seen each other, or you're new. I just met a few people tonight for the first time. So we want to get to know each other. I'll start by saying my name is Jeremiah Radvansky. I am the Family Ministries pastor here. And if you helped out last summer, which we had on last week's training, a couple girls that I didn't meet, it was their first time, I said, I'm actually the one who normally runs this, but I was away on a sabbatical. So nice to meet you. So if you came last year and you were like, I don't know who you are, why are you running the meeting? I'm the one who would have been running it last year, and I'm back, and I'm excited. I have a good team. We're going to go through our safe place really quickly, but you're going to read it. Just we want to make sure you're prepared for all the things that can happen. And really, we're going to be focusing on abuse is what the purpose of our safe place manual is, just so you can kind of see the signs of it. You can go, what do I do in these situations? Ways to protect yourselves so you aren't setting yourself up for things to happen. Okay, so we're going to go through that. We want to equip you on how to be a good leader, right? There's being here and just filling a space and saying, well, I tried my best, but maybe your best wasn't an equipped best. So we want to help you become a better leader by, having some discussion, asking questions, working together, brainstorming, showing you what it means to be a good leader. And then have a lot of fun, which kind of goes with getting to know each other. And so the reality is we have new people that have never served before, some that have been doing this for a long time, forever. You've been doing this at different churches in Alberta where you used to live, or you served at a camp like Mark and his family forever served at a Bible camp. And I'm so thankful that they're here serving with us this summer, right? Some of you, are new. Some of you are not new. Some of you feel like you're way too young to be doing this. Some of you might feel like you're too old to be doing this. I got to say, neither of those are the case. Some may have more energy, and that's okay. I'll say this now. So when I was working at a Bible camp, my wife and I they have two camps. It's one of the bigger camps in Canada, and they have this fort side where it's all they had teepees in a western town. And so I was always like a wild child, wild man, okay? And so when we're doing our actions for songs, I'm in there doing actions. I can't do them right, but I'm still doing them. I'm singing, I'm hooting and hollering. And so all of my counselors at staff meeting the second day, I'm like, hey guys, you think we could up the energy a little bit and just hands up more, jump a little bit, get the kids into it? You've been here 3 weeks. This is their only week they're maybe going to have, right? What leadership always says at camp. And so they're like, yeah. So we had an evening chapel. And they didn't do it. So next morning, I said, guys, remember we talked about this? And I asked, could you up a little bit? You guys, we got to do that today. Why didn't we do that? And I probably was a bit more forceful than that. And my wife just said afterwards, I could see on her face, she's kind of she really helped sanctify me a lot. I love that woman. And she says, Jer, you got to stop telling everyone to be like you. A lot of kids are scared of you. And if you ask them all to be like you, they're not going to meet and experience Jesus in a way that if they had a quieter, calmer counselor. So they don't have to do actions like you. They don't have to be wild in the talent show. I'm just good point. Okay? So don't be discouraged if you're I don't have as much energy as this person. You're going to have opportunities to connect with someone. But everyone is here because you are builders. You're going to be building the kingdom. You're going to be building into lives. You're going to be sharing Jesus through your words, but more importantly, with your actions. And I think that's a beautiful thing because your words, maybe you're not sure if they're the right things, or maybe sometimes we get them wrong, but your actions can show Jesus, even if you're not sure what to say at times. You could hug a kid that's hurting. You could say, hey, let's pray. You can lead by example. You could pick something up. You could include someone who you notice is kind of like the odd man out. And we have the same goal, right? That's to have kids hear about Jesus, have their lives transformed, and love Jesus in exceptional ways. Well, I love each one of you for what you're doing. I'm thankful that we're on this team together because, man, it is a cool opportunity we get. And I don't take this lightly, right? Like some of you are like, oh, this seems so fun. I went through it as a kid, or I've been at one like this, and I'm here at camp. But I got to say, you being here is you're sacrificing a lot. You maybe don't think it. You look at your friends who maybe don't know Jesus, or your friends that do know Jesus, but they're just like, they're already sleeping until noon, they're playing video games. You're going to be getting up really early on the week you're here, maybe here for 2 weeks, right? Because we want you here at 8 o'clock, 8:15. And not that early for some, but it's summertime, right? You're spending a week, maybe not going to visit family. Plans change. You're missing birthday parties or whatever that might be because you are here. I see this as such an important part of kingdom work, and we can't do without you, and I know it's a sacrifice. And again, you don't maybe think it is, but I value and love what you're doing. Well, we have a bunch of people. We don't know who is who. So what we're going to do, it's not an owl, but what I want you to do is on a piece of paper, grab a pen. You could do rip a piece of paper off. I want you to write down right now, really quickly. You have 20 seconds to write down these things. What your name is. One super cool fact about you. What your role is in SummerBLAST this summer. If you don't know what it is, just be like, oh no. And what you look forward to this year at SummerBLAST. So on a piece of paper. Okay, we are going to talk about the bit of things where we're preparing you for safety, okay? And it's not just that we do this. Oh, can you pull that down, Janice, that one, in case people were looking at that one? So we're going to go through a few things here. I want your attention on these. We're going to do our criminal checks. We're going to do our safe place, and we have a covenant. Okay, most of those you don't do here today. Actually, none of those you do here today. You're going to have a little bit of homework. Okay, so we're going to start off with our safe place, okay? Look at that. That's the old Hulk. Back in the day, there was a TV show. That's what Hulk looked like. They actually had a big, tough guy as the Hulk. It was Lou Ferrigno. It was actually amazing. You may say, why do we have to do this safe place? What is it all about? So on your tables, if you've helped us in children's ministry this year, you've done it already, okay? And the back page, if you haven't, you're going to take this thing, is the covenant. On the tables should be more covenants. If not, we'll photocopy them because nobody could print after 4 o'clock today. Like Janice and I, we're not able to print anymore. You say, why do we have this? Why are we going to go through it? Because this helps us understand the policies that we follow as a church. It helps you know what is okay and what's not okay to do with your kids. And some of this is the same safe place we do for all of children's ministry, our student ministries. So when people are going through this, it talks about like overnight things. So you're aware of it. And really why we go through these things as well is we want to make sure we're having people who aren't sneaky, tricky, or predators coming along, right? When we ask you to do a police check, I'm not worried about if something does show up. I am worried, but like if it's something that you're just like, this is what happened, hey, there's grace given. But often cases is what we hear and find out is if you're doing your due diligence in this, people who are here to take advantage of kids, they just walk away. They don't come to the next meeting. They don't fill out the rest of the information. It protects our kids and our families and you as well. So safe place. So this document here, you are going to read on your own. Okay, I'm not going to go through it, but things I want you to, pay attention to is what abuse is and what abuse isn't. And you might be thinking like, Griffin, you might be thinking, oh man, a kid's got a bruise. I better like phone the police. Well, let us know, because for a lot of the families, we know family history. We know what's going on. With my kids, I wrestle really hard. They jump off of the bed and knee me. Like, we always have played, like, you can knee jump on me, and it hurts. And so my oldest son, he said, Dad, can we hit and can we kick? And I said, okay, you do 50% and I'll do 50%, okay? And so we, like, hurt each other. We have fun doing that. Like, me and my buddies still do that a little bit where we, like, 50% hit. So, like, just because a kid has a bruise doesn't mean there's abuse. It might be they play hard. Maybe they're in sports. My nephew, he's broken, like, once a month, the same nephew, broken bones this summer. He's probably broken like 15 bones. He is just clumsy and a wild man, okay? So, but if you're seeing like, caution and like covering up things or like things that just seem strange or really big bruises on the back, because they wear their bathing suits, let us know, and then we will begin asking the questions or finding out a little bit more. You as our volunteers, you represent us, like the church. Right? Our organization. We're representing Christ as well. And so you as a leader, part of the responsibility that is given to you isn't just leading them, is actually if there's any instances of abuse or that you find out, like, man, my dad hits me all the time, or whatever it is, you have to tell us, right? So don't promise if they say, no, don't tell, okay, I shouldn't have told you that, don't tell. Just say, you know what, I think I do need to tell my leader just because we want to make sure you're safe. And so for some of you, it might just be like, that's really awkward, that's hard, and you're young, but we want to continue every year, like we said, equip you to become better leaders. So if things are shared, like, you know what, whatever it is, I'm not going to make up scenarios right now, but if there's things you're kind of like, this seems weird, strange, dangerous, let us know. And then we already have good connections with the agencies, law enforcement. They really take over for us. We don't do much with it as well. We just put reports together, and not often do we have to do things. But anyways, read through this. Have your parents read it to you. We're going to go through some details as well. Yeah, read the whole thing. It does feel like lots. I used to go through it, and the meetings were 45 minutes longer. You can read at your pace without me chitty-chatty through it. Any questions about the safe place?
Are we going to get the forms when we leave tonight?
The form is on, it should be on the,
There's only one.
here you go. We got, every other table has some as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through now on the, so crim checks, I'm going to go through on the back page, and I think there's loose ones on the table. If you can go to the back page here, this is the signing in the covenant. I'll get onto this later, but just make sure you have that back page, and if you don't, they just look like this on the tables. Grab it from one of the tables. They just have lots of lines on it. There's 4 things that you will do in the next 6 days, or if you're doing the August one. If you helped out in children's ministry, you've already done this. So you don't have to sign off on it except one part. And there's a new part to that. Okay, so we'll get into that in a second. So I want you to look now at the last maybe 3 or 4 pages where it says Children's Ministry Covenant. This is 17 pages total, but it's the last 4 or 5 is like a covenant, is a blank page, is that signing page, is the cover. So it's not that much, except that it's in like font 6. So it does end up being a lot. So this covenant here is what we expect of you because you represent us, the church, evangelicals in Canada, right? Jesus Christ. And this is our expectation of beliefs and of being. So how you participate, how you act, your integrity that you have, right? And so there's 4 categories, and the last one under integrity has a bunch of points I'm going to go through. So FITTY, if you can remember FITTY, that's the acronym for it. I made this one as a pastor in Lethbridge when 50 Cent was big, so it's still, I brought this from Lethbridge with me, still 50. So the first one is focused. So when you come to SummerBLAST, and you know yourself, I know lots of you from MEI when I go there, and I know lots of the teachers, and right, focus sometimes is hard. If you wake up in the morning and you're fidgety, or maybe some of you need a cup of coffee, when you come, we want you already in game mode, all right? We got lots of kids who like sports here, so we're going to use that analogy, right? If it takes you an extra half hour to get ready for the day, maybe it's go for a walk, maybe it's just like, I got to be separate. We want you when you come ready, not like chatting with your friends, but going, how can I be Jesus to these kids today? How can I listen well? How can I take what we're saying and make sure I'm putting that out there? So whatever it takes, you're focused when you come here. It's about the kids. It's not about the friends. Friends is awesome. Afterwards, make play dates. Okay, so focus when you're here. I is, hi Ren, how are you? You know, intentional, right? Focused, intentional. Intentional means, and this is where this skill grows as you get older. You are taking every opportunity you have to point kids to Jesus. Your own, the other kids that maybe there's some little one who's sitting down beside you as kids are on the climbing wall. You're going, they say something like, man, I'm having such a bad day. You know, I'm scared of that climbing wall because I fell off of it. And you just say, you know what, when I'm scared, I just say, hey, God, give me some strength. Give me some courage. I know today's going to be great, right? Every opportunity, everything they're talking about. You know, maybe they're sharing in a situation. Don't like lie and make it up. Be like, yeah, I had that too, and this is how. No, you just say, hey, when I'm feeling whatever it is that you can kind of tie into it, point them to Jesus, right? In the intentional side of things, you're also trying to point them to another friend maybe, right? Quite quickly, you can tell the kids that kind of like sit off by themselves, or like, not saying this is a problem, but there's 2 at this table, there was a whole ton on that table. But as the week goes on, you start to see like, man, they're a little bit quieter. They never join in the things. I can tell whenever mom or dad drops them off, like they're at the door, they're the first ones to run, right? So you're going to help them make a friend. Because I've noticed since COVID, most people, but especially younger ones, they have a harder time of creating the same type of friendships that I noticed before COVID. They're just hesitant, they're not sure, they're nervous, they don't have those skills. You're pointing them to Jesus and maybe another leader, right? Even though you're not their small group leader, point them to another small group leader. Say like, hey, this is Johnny. I'm probably going to use all these like funny like little Johnny, little Bennies. I did that last week, right? This is little Johnny. Hey, he's here this week and he's in someone else's group, but this is my awesome friend, Adam, right? Dad, rad kids. Oh man, Adam's awesome. And then Adam will say, it's so nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here. So this kid at every opportunity is being connected to other adults that love them very much and love Jesus. And it might just be like that one conversation, but in a quick 3 minutes, they met you, they met another adult, and then their leader, right? So we're intentional in everything we do to be like Jesus, right? F-T, time. So this is a big one. This is important to me. This is important to a lot of probably older people, but like that you're on time, all the time, you're there for the whole time, right? And if there's going to be something that's different, like some of you have said, I got to miss a couple days, that's okay. That's why we have so many leaders, because this is your training grounds. We want you to get better at leading. So if you have to miss a day or 2 or you get sick, let us know, right? But we want you here the whole time. And what that looks like, we'll get to it later, is we do snack outside at 12:45. This is like freezies and ice cream sandwiches every day. And so we ask that you would tell your ride, because very few of you drive, that they would come pick you up at 1:10. So from 12:45, you're going to have some late kids. So you stay with your kids. There's nothing worse than a kid going, my leader, I see them driving away. Right? So 12:55, you're hanging out with them till. And then we're going to have a quick little debrief, prayer, share time. It'll be different each day, so what we share on. And then if you're able to, I want your word at the end of the day to be like, hey, what's one thing I can help with? And right, there'll be a bunch of us on the leadership team that'll say, hey, you could go, can you just grab those chairs there and just stack them up? Right? It'll always be something really quick and really small. And if you've got time, you can do more. And if you like it, you can do more. So really, you're finished at 1:05, 1:10 or so. And I won't push you past that. And then the last one, integrity. So this is at the bottom now. So FITI, right? Focus, intentional, time, integrity. None of the rest will be this long. But we believe here in the authority of Scripture. So we want you to go, hey, the Word of God brings life, shares about Jesus, helps these kids fall more in love with Jesus. Okay? We're not saying any other book does that. So we want you to, that's what we're saying. You are communicating with these kids. If you're wrestling through things right now, your own journey, that's good. We want you to have your own faith. But as you represent what we're about, I want you to read what that is, and you're just saying, hey, yeah, man, the Bible, God made that book come to people's minds. They wrote it down. It made it to today, and we believe, it helps you grow closer to Jesus and love Him more. Okay? That's the authority of Scripture. Next one is exclusivity of Christ. Jesus is the only way to heaven. And this is one that, a lot of people wrestle with. Like, does that mean a bunch of people like here aren't going to be in eternity with Jesus unless they do this and then? Well, what about me? I'm a really good person, right? No. Jesus dying on the cross for our sins, and then us deciding to have that relationship with Him, saying, yes, I want you as my Savior, Lord, and King. That is what we are about here. Right? And again, if you are wrestling through these things and you can't sign off on this, talk to me, because we still want you at camp. We don't want perfect people, because then none of us would be here. We want people on a journey, and we just maybe won't have you as a small group leader if you can't sign off on these things. Next one is participation in a spiritual community. This is more for like our year-long volunteers, that we just say, hey, it's not just about coming to our program, it's being a part of the community as brothers and sisters in Christ, so you got to be going somewhere. And some people, that just might be like youth group, because, they serve and they go to a youth group, because it's hard. Parents say, no, you're not going to a church. So we get, there's grace given those areas. The next couple, you're not old enough, so the alcohol one doesn't matter, but read it if you are 19 or older. And number 6 is living for the glory of God. And that's really in the situations that you might find yourself with your friends. You're just saying, hey guys, I don't want to do that type of stuff. Right? I'm running a race here, like maybe you don't tell them that, because like, what are you talking about, running a race? Right? But you're saying, God, in all things, I'm going to bring you glory. And it's maybe hanging with friends that some people say they're the bad apple. Hey, but they need to know Jesus too. And so when you're with them, you're on mission saying, I am here so that I can be an example to them I'm not going to participate in like the vandalism or the spray painting or whatever that is, but I'm also here with my friends. Okay? So that one is important to me, that we are able to still be in place on sports teams, right? That maybe have really rough kids on it. Right? And so read that over, and then the last little bit is my commitment to you, which is my team's commitment to you, that we will be clear in our expectations, telling you, like, this is what we want, right? We will equip you, say, hey, here's how we're going to help you to meet those expectations and fulfilling those. If I find out there's things you're breaking on this, I'll come right away and I'll say, hey, this is what I heard. Is it true? And you can lie to me, or you can say, yeah. And I'll say, hey, what? Just tell me about that. Why did that happen, right? And then we'll help restore, right? And that might mean changing your role, or you stick with it because it was something. And some of this, like I said, this is our year-long covenant as well. So you can be encouraged that, like, we do this with everybody because it's important to us that we're representing Jesus in our church well. And the last one is provide you with a caring spiritual community. And so we get an abbreviated version of that, a shorter version here at SummerBLAST because, well, we mornings, and then you're gone at lunchtime, and for 1 week you only see each other. Where through the whole year we get to have a little bit more. And so I signed that. And so if you agree with all that, that's one of the parts on the last page there, number 2. Hit puberty there for a second. Number 2, the covenant there. The first one is safe place that you read. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, our criminal checks. Megan's going to share a little bit about that. But if you've had one in the last 3 years, that's fine that we still have that. And if you can get one from somewhere else. But if not, Megan, you go. You tell us what's going on.
All right. You'll notice on one page, there's lots of little check boxes. You just ignore that page. You don't need to fill anything out on it. The other page, you'll see there's part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. You only need to fill in the information in part 1 and part 4. Part 1 is just your name, your address, and then part 4 is your signature. The rest is already pre-filled, so you don't need to worry about it. You are, however, going to have to come to the church office either tomorrow between 8:30 and 4 to have Sil look at your ID, or you bring it on Tuesday morning, and Sylvia will be here to check your ID, take record of it, and then your criminal record form is complete. And you're good to go for another 3 years, which means you have to wait before you have to fill this out again, which is always nice. If you are turning 12 after the camp, you don't need to worry about filling it out. If you're 12 and older, you need to fill it out if you haven't already completed it. If you don't know if you completed it or if you are still valid, if you're at the end of your 3 year or anything, you can just email me or Pastor Jer and we'll be able to look that up for you.
Awesome, thank you. And she's like, 12? Like, what if something, probably nothing's coming up. You would have known if you've gotten into some trouble and they've taken you away or you went in for something, like, you'll know if something's going to be on there. And again, we're just doing our due diligence, which means we want to make sure we're finding out all that we can. And if something comes up like, man, I got in some trouble a couple of years ago, well, hey, most of you I know, and I don't see that side anymore, right? Like, Jesus forgives. We forgive. We want you part of our team. Okay, so fill that out, easy peasy, and again, it's just that process, right? And so you're good to go after you do this for the next few years. We have online training. I'm trying to like speed up some of our meeting, take things out, and for next year, I'm going to have a lot more that's online that you need to watch. But if you go to on YouTube, SummerBLAST 2023 Leaders Training, you'll find some videos that we made 2 years ago, but we were just learning the ins and outs of video editing due to COVID, and the audio is like so quiet. Like you're gonna need to go in the bathroom, crank it up all the way, have your ear next to it, and probably put like, closed captioning on so you can read it at the same time. And once in a while I'd be like, oh, I heard what they said there. They did a great job, but it was too late by the time and I didn't redo it because they were really, really good. So there's 6 videos there, and they're like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, so just watch them, and then you can sign the last thing on the agreement there that, yeah, I watched all 6 of them. So if you've done this in the fall, just say, yeah, to all 3, and then the 4th one, that's why nobody can do it today, you didn't watch them yet. Any questions about that? It's on YouTube, easy to find. You'll be like, and some of the stuff is not relevant anymore. Anything that they say about COVID or whatever, they're 2 years old, we'll remake them next year. And so these are the categories: welcome, drop-off, pickup, being a crew leader, activity like the cycles, what ifs. The what ifs is a good one that you're like, okay, yeah, what if they go to the bathroom in their pants? What if they're homesick? What if they're sick? Right? So all it's really helpful. Watch those videos there. But the best of things and the best of times, wild things still happen, and you can be as prepared as, yes, question?
Sorry, we watched the videos last year then, can you sign that up?
I'd still like you to watch them, just so that it's fresh in your mind. A very good question. So yes, please rewatch them this year. So even with all the preparation that, you're getting focused for the day, you've practiced your intentional lines. Here's something to share Jesus in all moments with them, right? Things don't go as planned still. Even if you've done it before, things don't always go the same. And you're going to be in a moment like, ah! Who knows what this guy's name is? Just shout it out. Okay, I was just going to see, maybe you guys don't watch that show or not. Watch it 2-3 times every year. Anyways, for instance, right, like this comic here. While your lesson plans were perfect and your bulletin boards were terrific, your classroom management skills need work. You might have a class of wild animals. You're like, how did they escape the Vancouver in Langley zoo? Right? They are here, signed up to meet Jesus, but they are in the zoo, right? You look at this one here, the principal's coming and the teacher's I can't control him, right? Things happen. And so my question is, what if I'm having a tough time? So this is a little brainstorming now. So Janice is going to come up. She's going to write out your things down here nice and low or wherever on here. I want to know what you guys think. How can you manage your groups well, right? What have you done before that, say a kid was always, nervous about something or always chatty or messy? What would you do? What are some things that you could do that would help you be better in your group?
I'd probably, first I'd ask them if they could, settle down.
Yeah.
If they don't, I'd probably, ask, the other leaders or talk to, someone else.
Good. First thing is hey, maybe right now isn't the time to be a wild man. We're trying to listen to Janice talk about crafts, right? Just tell them. The first thing is hey, can we just make sure we're paying attention here? Right? You're their leaders, not their best friends. We hope you become their really good friends of them, but at the same time, they look up to you. So don't be shy, oh, I've never told anyone to listen before. Yeah, go ahead.
Set expectations before you go to an activity and then also keep the expectations consistent.
Yes. That's very wise, right? Right from the get-go, say, hey guys, let's call this our little team here, a little family here. But hey, a team and family all have expectations or rules. And we want to live well together. So, and you can even ask them, what are some things we want to live by? And if they can't think of anything, if you're talking, do you want other people talking as well? No? Okay, let's have that be one, right? And you think of some. And then now, if they ever break those expectations, you can say, whoa, remember we made, I just call it covenant, right? We made these rules we wanted to live by. Remember we said we didn't want to talk around people, and you were doing that. That's not really, helpful to the group. Oh, right? So they're breaking what they've decided on, right? So it's really easy to enforce those things, right? And being consistent, if you need to say, hey, you need to maybe just wait a minute here, right? We're really excited. Everyone else is going to go. Be consistent through whatever that might be. What else? That's really good. Yeah.
Bribe them.
Bribe them. Yes, you could bribe them, and you'll have short-term, gain for long-term pain. For next year's people, it'll be our leader always paid us off with candy, right? But that's not actually a bad idea, right? You might just say, hey, if we get through this really quick, we can get to free time earlier. We can have that race around the climbing wall and see who can beat, 12 and a half seconds, right? And they'll be okay, we want to get to that, right? So that's not actually that bad of an idea. That's actually a good idea. But if every moment you're spending all of your university money bringing candies and prime energy drinks, don't do that, okay? That's bad. They're going to just take advantage of you. Bribe them with, you decide. Be wise in that. I think maybe reward could be a better way to say than bribe, but that works for me. Anything else? These are good. Yeah.
You can pick one or two to be your special helpers for the day.
That's a good one. I forget what that would be. That's amazing. Yeah. So Jen before me always had that one. So depending on the age of them, say, and we actually talked about this a little bit. We have hey, we need someone to carry the bag around and but you're telling them hey, you're the special helper for the day. So that often works well. like my daughter lately, my youngest daughter has been having some issues of separation, and so at school, and so the teachers are almost every day are like, hey, Lillian, can you come and be my special helper? And just helps her get out of that, right? So for some that maybe are having a hard time, or just a way just to get them focused now on the task you're having them, like, hey, can you look up the Bible? Can you hand out the little Bible buddies? A whole ton of things that you could create special helpers or a special helper for the whole day. Very good, Adam. Thank you. Any other ones? You guys are doing a very good job here. Okay, and in the end, okay, there will be some that you're just like, wow, they shouldn't be here. You know, for the 99.99%, I disagree with you. They need to be here. But once in a while, we got to phone a parent or just like something's going on, and then we'll use us, right? Use Janice, Darian, myself. So if you have a phone, put our numbers down. Text us, call us during the day, like, hey, we need some help with this. And, you know, one of the things write down your paper, yeah. One of the things we'll do is I always ask parents, hey, did, Johnny come today? How was his breakfast? Oh, it was so early and forgot to give him food. Well, of course he's not doing the best, right? So we're going to try and find out some of these things. And so depending what happens, we want you to know that sending them to us is a good thing, because then we can follow up. And if it's, some of these kids that every day we need to follow up with, you can then kind of pass off being the heavy, right? The bad guy, telling them, like, in their mind, the bad guy, like, whoa, I'm in so much trouble. Where I will say, hey, we're going to phone mom and dad, we're going to chat with them afterwards. And they don't want that happening. But then what my request is, as best as you can, when we'll follow it up with you, like, if you can get their parent's cell number, and then later on in the day, it could be like literally like, but when you're done the leaders meeting, you just don't use my phone because it'll show up as me. But like, text the parents, say, hey, you know what? I know Pastor Jared chatted with you today. Hey, just wondering how Scotty's doing. Is Scotty doing well? Can't wait for him to come back, right? So Scotty gets told by parents that you're checking in on him. Scotty's like, whoa, wow, that's awesome. They gave me trouble, but I didn't get kicked out by them. It was by Pastor Jared or Darian or Janice. And I got to tell you, if that happened to me as a parent, one of my kids, and my kids, I get it. I hope they get in trouble for the things that they do that are wrong, okay? But if their leaders checking in with me, I'm like, praise the Lord, these are a good group of volunteers. So, yeah.
Why is LeBron James in the bottom corner?
Because, high five, we're here to help you. Let us know. We're here to help you. Boom. I don't even know who this guy is. Such a low-res picture there. Does that make sense? So use us. Or afterwards say, hey, I had this problem. And so sometimes in the moment you can't find us, and that's fine. But fill us in later, and then we'll still either message or connect with the parents, depending what it is. All better, right? You guys are excited? This is going to be easy? Some of your kids are going to be like, especially that middle guy. Oh, man, he's going to explode. Middle and the left guy there. I'm going to go through some of the procedures that I will have in a video next year, but bathrooms, this always happens. Where do we go? What do we do? And this is a video we made quite a few years ago. I got hurt in it, but it helps you remember, like, this is what the little tykes, preschool and kindergarten, are like, and some of you are helping with that. This is what sort of the younger elementary, what they do. This is what the older kids do. So even though you maybe don't know which group you're in, if you do, just kind of focus in on that. It's probably a 2-minute video, but it's important. So check this out.
Leaders must accompany our preschool and kindergarten kids to the washrooms. Don't forget the washroom sign. Check the washrooms to make sure they are empty, or wait until they are. Then let the kids in while holding the main door open with the sign displayed. Do not allow others into the washroom while children are using it. If children need help in the stall, leaders must have the assistance of another leader to make sure the main door remains held open. For our grade 1 to 2 children, a leader must accompany them to the washroom, knock on the door, and make sure the washroom is empty before allowing kids in. Then, holding the door open for them as they wait. For our grade 3 to 5 children, things are a bit different. If they need to use the washroom, they may choose a friend to accompany them.
Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of different procedures. Because literally during SummerBLAST, every outside door is open. We try to have them closed, but they're not locked. It's different than a school where it's kind of like just the main one comes in. People come through the church at different times. And so we don't know where they're going sometimes. It's not like we can see them where they're going. So that's why at the different ages, we always are having someone there. Even for the older ones, there's 2. And it doesn't have, like, say you have two leaders, you might be that friend going with the grade 3 to 5ers. Okay?
Last year, I was doing the kindergartens, and we had a situation where this girl, she was wearing a really pretty dress, so we wanted her to change before she played the water game.
Yep.
So we got her a smock, but she couldn't put it on by herself. What would you do then? She was in kindergarten.
Yeah, in that situation, she would just have to put it over top of her dress. We're not going to have you help her change. There are situations where we do have a preschool program, and so some of them, if they have a diaper that is dirty, we have 2 leaders in the room, maybe they have pull-ups or whatever. Normally it's grade 4 and 5, so we don't have those same problems. But if there are those young, there's that same situation, just say, hey, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wear that today. Or if she can't figure it out, just cover up with something. We've got lots of extra shirts and clothes if it's muddy or dirty. And we send out messages all the time. Of course, they're missed. Hey, it's a water day today. Make sure you're bringing your stuff. The next one is if there's an emergency, which I don't envision happening, but if it happens, fire, earthquake, we've got to do who knows what it is, right? We've never had it. I don't often hear of them happening, but I'm going to show you what happens if we have to go to our muster point. Our muster point is out there, but you're maybe I don't know where that is if I'm in a different room. So we'll just kind of show you this one here.
In the event of an emergency, such as a power failure, fire, or earthquake, keep calm. Take the attendance clipboard or nursery binder and lead the children single file to your nearest exit. Remember, non-walkers will need to be carried out. Safely lead the children to the muster station and direct them to sit down. Use the attendance sheet to account for each child. Parents will be instructed to meet their children at the muster station rather than trying to find their children in their classrooms. Check off the attendance sheet as children are picked up by their parents.
So, no, I got hurt skipping rope and snapped my Achilles tendon, so that was a long recovery. But so that's just out there. So if you're when you get outside, you're okay, I remember it was, right? So exits, depending what the situation is, some of the stuff as well, parents aren't going to be here right away. Depending what it is, they will probably be here really quickly. And if we can have everybody in one spot, then we can direct traffic. This really is not for when parents come, it's so that we know if there's anyone in the building, right? And depending who comes, first responders, if it's a fire, we can't jump right in. We can say, hey, we have this person, this is a little girl, and this is where we came from, type of a thing, right? But I don't foresee any of that happening, but just in your minds. We have a first aid room, so the gym, there's the prayer room right next to it. That's going to be our first aid room. And so use the first aid room to your advantage. So sometimes kids do get hurt. There were plenty of times when I was in Lethbridge as a youth pastor, kids would we'd be running in the grass, they'd trip on something, put their arm out, and they'd break their wrist. So even in soft grass, kids can get hurt. We literally have no grass here. It's all asphalt and cement bumps. So we do get things that broken here in the summertime. But there's times where a kid gets a no scratch, I call it, and they're oh, it hurts so much. Well, let's go get you a magical Band-Aid. And you put the Band-Aid on, they're I'm good, let's go again. Okay? So some of these kids, you might just say do you need another Band-Aid for that? Yeah. And they're covered in Band-Aids, and their parents, what happened? Nothing, we just helped them get through the day. Okay? So use, and Megan is in charge of that. She's going to be there. And some of the kids, maybe they are heat exhausted, or they didn't eat enough, or they got hit in the head with something in the game, or who knows, right? So then we'll connect with parents and just find out what's happening there. Some kids have meds, so they need to go find Megan as well. Yes, Megan?
Some kids also might just want a little bit of quiet time, so we'll have some coloring sheets and things like that in there, and come hang out. It'll be nice.
In the first aid room?
Pardon?
In the first aid
In the first aid room, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where again?
And the prayer room, so right across the gym where we were grabbing
Yes,
the tables.
right.
So we had lunch today, just that room right next to it. Yes?
What if one of the kids just run away from our group?
So that's a very good question, and that does happen at times. So if a kid runs away, we all have co-leaders. And even if you don't have a co-leader, you chase that kid down, and because we're always with grade 2s will be together, and there's lots of grade 2s, lots of leaders say, someone watch my group, I gotta go get, right? And then we'll try and find them. And so if you're not strong enough, and let one of us know, sometimes we'll just hold a kid. We'll say, whoa, what's going on here? Like we got busy roads 2 of our ways, and then just like yards the other way. So like, well, if they're like running away outside, and you're just like, they're going to run and be unsafe, like we're going to hold them. We're going to hold them from getting hurt, right? But if they like get scared or anxious or feelings hurt, who knows what happens, and they just kind of run away, follow them, and they're probably most of the time not running away, but they just want to find someplace quiet. They maybe are processing something through. So sit with them. And the co-leader does everything else. Don't try and be like, hey, you got to quickly come back to games. You got to come to craft. Maybe they need the next hour with you just chatting with them. But tell a leader, because if it's somewhere, or just try and have that kid be somewhere more public, right? If it's like under the stairwell, in where we're not supposed to store stuff, those refuge areas, that's not the best spot because we can't see what's happening. Safe place procedures, we want to make sure other eyes can see where we are. So say, hey, let's go to the comfortable chairs. You don't have to go to craft. Right? Maybe they're scared of like those plastic scissors and they run away every time because who knows why, right? They have bad dreams about plastic Crayola scissors, right? You're going to be there working with them through whatever it is. But let us know, and your co-leader, like, they'll help us figure out right away. Okay, we are going to have, oh yeah, this one's important here. I think I missed some. So there's going to be lots of cute kids here and all over the place, and for the most part, taking pictures is okay, right? There's a few kids that the parents say, no, we don't want pictures taken of our kids. So if that's the case, and put out there, so we'll just have to be careful, maybe delete the picture, or you just know like, hey, I want to get a group photo, and sorry, you can't be in it. And we'll help you know who those kids are. But one of the things is we love to post to different socials out there all the time, everywhere. Our lives are that, which I think is kind of too bad, but we cannot take any picture of camp and put it on our socials, okay? You can have your phones, but only as cameras. If I see you even like looking at a text, it's going to go in the box in my office, which is leaders' phones till the end of the day, okay? And some of you say, but what if my parent needs to get a hold of me? Well, I'll give them my text number. It wasn't that long ago parents didn't need to get a hold of kids, right? At all, ever. They had to phone up a bunch of friends going, or they would drive down the road and look where the kid's mountain bike was. Oh, my son's over here. Okay, that's good. I didn't know where he was, right? Your parents don't need to get a hold of you. If they do, you tell them, phone Pastor Jer, say I got to get picked up an hour early, and I'll just be expecting them, okay? So, but I have no problem with you taking pictures. These are important things. You are growing in your leadership. These are wonderful memories to have. I love the old camp pictures when it was like your phone was on the wall and a camera had film in it. So do not post those pictures. If you're on your phones, I would say just don't even bring them. You don't need them, and I will be very, very strict. It just bothers me how much we get distracted by it. And I'm not saying parents do it the best. I think we lead a really bad example that you've learned from us. And just like, oh yeah, all day, when I drive with my wife, one of us is usually on the phone, not talking to the other person. And my kids who don't have phones yet, all they do is watch the other person like, yeah, I got to do this, Well, no, we probably don't have to do that. So, is that clear? Any questions about that?
I just wonder if it's a place to put like our phone.
Yes. So, yeah, good question. So you're going to have valuables, and my office is a great place to put it. So I say put it like on the couch or around the corner, like the door will be shut. I can lock it as well, but if the door is shut, I don't think anyone's going in. There's so many eyes, and or if you're like, I really want it locked up, the office is open, there's people in the office, we'll just put it right in the office. There's no way anything will disappear there, but yeah, it'll be locked, double, triple locked away. Any questions about any of those things?
Jeremiah has one sort of conflict, but he gave his phone numbers for contacting you and Darren and Janice, but if we haven't got our phones, we can't phone you.
Yes, good. So that's good. So, like I said, if you're connecting with us, great. But if I see you like flipping through, like I hear your keyboard, turn that off, shouldn't be on. Yes, keep it, but use it wisely, okay? I get that, like, if it rings, well, turn your notifications off. If you don't know how to stop it from beeping and buzzing and giving you that, Google it, right? Hey, Google, how do I turn off, the notifications? There you go, iPhone.
I didn't even know that until my mom did.
Yeah.
But
There's gonna be one leader and one co-leader, so as long as you have a phone between.
Yeah, most times. And literally too, like we were always going to be like one of us probably within like a 10 seconds or like, hey, do you know where Jer is? Oh yeah, and we'll be found. So even calling and testing us, it's a small building. We're only in like a third of it, so it's not that difficult. So good questions. I never had questions on this one before. So I'm going to quickly go through why we serve. This is a bit like kind of at the beginning there where I was encouraged by each one of you. I want to know now what you think makes a good leader, right? So we said, hey, we already went through a few things, and like this is what we would do if we have some troubled kids or like we're setting expectations. But what makes a good leader? If you were to say, that's a good leader, or I had a really good camp counselor, what would make him a good camp counselor? Or I got a really good teacher. They're a leader, right? I think one of the biggest leaders in your lives. So what does it look like? Their attitude, yeah.
Like, works well with the kids.
Works well with the kids. So it's giving them attention, just does things for them, or would you say incorporates them into maybe the decisions? Both. Okay, good. Yeah.
Funny.
Is funny. I agree with that. But if you're not funny and you're like, I just don't have a good sense of humor, that's okay. Yeah.
Makes them feel like they're always there and also like listens to them and engages in the conversation.
Yes. So in a sense, I'm hearing gets to know them. They're known by their leader. Yeah.
Being loud with the kids that are not being quiet with the kids that are.
Understanding your crowd a little bit, getting to know them. That's good, right? And so being flexible, I guess. And probably some of that is stepping out a little bit as well. Yeah.
Being encouraging.
Encouraging, yeah. And so that one, depending maybe who your siblings are, it's hard to be encouraging with them. And depending, what your humor's like, you're like, I'm sarcastic all the time. But yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Sandra. Be kind, yeah, very good.
If you're with the younger kids, try to hold back the sarcasm because they don't really understand that when they're like grades 1 and 2 in like kindergarten.
Yes.
And try to don't be all strict about the rules. Don't be like, oh my goodness, you did one little thing wrong, and now you're gonna get in so much trouble. Just be relaxed about the rules.
Yep. Good. Well, and I like you said, two things there that really stand out to me. One, I really don't like sarcastic humor, right? So if we could try our best on the focus part of the morning, like when you're coming, say, Lord, help me not to use sarcasm, because sarcasm never builds. It destroys, it tears down. I asked my wife, anytime you hear me be sarcastic, just say, Jer, you did it again, right? I like tricking people, so I guess that's maybe kind of lying a little bit, so I got to work on that. But I don't like sarcastic humor, and a lot of us do it. We think these kids, one, don't get it, and they're going to be hurt by it. And then you've ruined your witness to them. They're going to be like, my leader is a mean leader, right? And so I understand that we like sarcasm, but not around our kids in our ministries, please. Like, try your best. If I ever hear a sarcastic joke, I'll be like, whoa, that's sarcasm. Let's try to rein that in a little bit, okay? And then also, I'm okay with kids being a bit wilder. If a lot of you have been through my ministry here, I make it wild, right? And so I'm okay that they're off the walls a little bit. But if your style is like, hey, let's get them a little more calmed down, that's fine as well. What else makes a good leader? Yeah.
Be a good influence.
Good influence, yeah. So what would that look like? Maybe in examples?
Don't be like mean and
Yeah.
try to be all cool.
Yeah.
Because whatever you do, the kids are probably going to do.
Exactly. Yeah, they will copy you. Anything else? These are all really good. Yeah.
If one of your friends is a leader, don't go over to their kid and hang out with them.
That's right.
Just think you're rude.
Yes, very good. So probably lots of you do have friends that are here or will be coming, cousins, from 100 Mile House, right? The time while you're here with these kids is so very precious. Use it just with those kids. I got a quick story here, and then the rest of the devotion stuff we'll do as devotions in the morning at camp. But when I was a youth leader in Lethbridge, I would have been in my young 20s, so 20 years ago, and I loved being a youth leader. I would go to every single event. I was single. I lived on my own, had a okay job, so I had good money, but I went to every single thing. And so my boys were maybe grade 7 or grade 8, and they said, oh, you come to the ski trip, Jer? I didn't say something. Of course he is. He always comes. I'm like, yeah, I am coming. They just knew me. And then some of my friends were leaders as well. And so we were all in our 20s. And they said, oh, is Matt coming and Brendan? And I knew they weren't coming because they never came to these things. And one of the boys said, no, they're not coming. And I was like, oh. I didn't say, how do you know? I just said, I want to see how this played out. But one of the boys said, well, how do you know that? So this was now leaders that, they weren't their small group leader, just my friends. They said, because they don't care about their boys. Right? So that broke my heart hearing that, going like, and it still sticks with me 20 years later. Like, my own boys felt like they didn't care about theirs. What did their own small group kids feel like? So if we're distracted with our friends, these kids pick up on that. You would pick up on it too if your youth leaders were, chatting with each other more than with you. We pick up on as adults. So you're focused here with your kids. Those are all really, really good things. Thank you for that. And so now I want you to go like, okay, we're going to try to put those things into practice, right? I've never been a leader that does that before, but I'm going to try my best to do this. But I do want to go through this because this is part of the practical side of it. So when I think of what our kids need here, and we're going to be done right away after this now. Each one of these kids needs a few things. And I think, so I just got to skip through all the stuff I was going to do. Look at that, always with the too much chair. Always, always, always. I really feel that every single one of these kids, and us as well, needs someone to see them. Right? So this is practical ways to be a good leader, right? We have the opportunity to see everyone like Jesus sees them, and they are precious to Jesus, more so than my own kids are to me, right? And so I think of this, right? In the story of Zacchaeus, wee little man, big sycamore tree, he wanted to see Jesus. He was like one of the most hated people. Even though he had no power of his own, he could send the Roman soldiers after whoever didn't pay taxes and pay his like double tax because he was a very rich man, right? But Jesus saw Zacchaeus, and the way that he saw Zacchaeus changed Zacchaeus' life, right? Salvation has come to this man today. And got all the people outside. Doesn't Jesus know who he is? Yeah, Jesus knows who he is. But Jesus saw that there was potential in Zacchaeus, something much greater than what everyone else saw in Zacchaeus. And with these kids, the way you see them has the same power to change how they see themselves. So Zacchaeus' life was transformed because of Jesus, and you are going to be Jesus to many of these kids. And the way you see them, the way you encourage them, the way you're intentional will change their lives as well. Next one is stop. Slow things down. I think, was it you, Liam, who says sometimes we're crazy, sometimes we're quiet, right? You can be crazy, and you never have to be quiet, but I think it's wise to take some time and just stop, right? Jesus regularly stopped on the way everywhere he went. Stopped, listened, talked. Hold up, guys. Where can we get food, right? So let's not forget to stop. Take the time away from the crowd like Jesus did. We saw that with Zacchaeus. He stopped. When he was walking, the crowd was walking. It was like a little parade. And he went for dinner. Like this is a long stop out of the way when the crowd is there with him. And I love this one. Blind man, when he healed a blind man in Mark 8:22, it says he took the blind man's hand and he led him out of the city. I've only seen pictures. I've never been to, these historical sites. But it was a city, so it's pretty big. And so Jesus, have you ever guys like in your own house even when like a sibling, they come with me in your own house, you're like, I know every twist and turn, but I'm still nervous I'm going to hit something. So Jesus is walking this blind man, holding his hand slowly, all the way out of the city, right? He took the time to be with him. I can only imagine the cool conversations Jesus would have had. Hey, what are some of the most difficult things in your life? Tell me about your family. How do people treat you? And then when he was out, healed his eyes. Jesus could have done that anywhere. But Jesus said, no, I'm going to take the time. I'm going to stop. I'm going to find out about your story. And same thing with you. You are in the front lines in a personal way. You're going to get to know them in very special ways that most people don't know, and you get to be someone who takes the time to see what matters. But if all we're doing is running, you won't ever hear the stories of any of these kids, right? This is one that maybe you got to be brave in. Try and find out a little bit about the parents. Hey, my name's Liam. What's your name? Where do you live, right? The parents will be like, whoa, this is pretty mature, but for you, that's maybe a scary thing. And the last one, this is huge to me, right? And this at camp is part of it, but I think if you continue as a kids leader or a youth leader, this is the biggest impact we can have, right? We're able, this is in black, to impact lives when we begin showing up consistently in the lives of a child. And imagine with me, if every kid was able to have someone show up consistently. There's many kids that go, nobody knows my name. You would know their name. You would know what matters to them. You would know where they live, what their home life is like, what the emotional state is like, culturally what their experiences are, right? Do you know what I've done, right? When we are consistent, and this week is so consistent, right? You're going to help replace any shame or hurt that they have with the hope of Jesus. Do you know what I can do, right? You can tell them, I believe in you. You're going to be amazing at that, right? Man, I can almost slam dunk. No, you can't. But you can say, that's great. One day you will, right? You can tell them the potential they have. And our angle here is it's in Jesus that we're doing this. All that hope, all that potential. So do you know me? Help kids, and we said this earlier. In that, help them get to know each other and help them see how God is working in everyone's lives. So this is, look what God is doing, right? So if you ever find out a story like, hey, my uncle got in a bad car accident and said he wasn't supposed to live, and, he did. It was a miracle, right? Take that story and say, hey, Johnny's uncle, look how God is working. Johnny, how are you feeling, right? This is the intentional bit that is muscles that you need to flex that maybe you've never done before, but in everything, go, how can I point it to Jesus? How can I help these kids see the power of Jesus? Okay. And one of the things I want to encourage you with, some of you came today maybe going like, man, life is hard. I signed up because Mom wanted me to. I don't actually know if I like this type of stuff. I've gone through a lot of stuff. I feel really bad about what I've done. Jesus says, right, my mercies are new every morning. Compassions never fail. And he's saying, you can do this. And so I want you to know, I don't want perfection. If you're signing up somewhere, they say they want you perfect, don't go serve there. Maybe some of you are saying, I don't have the same spiritual journey that my pastor, you go to a different church, my pastor does, right? My parents, they always read the Bible. I don't know if I've ever read the Bible. Pray? I only ever pray when someone tells you, what can I pray for you about? You know what? I want you to feel like this is a place where you belong, where you can serve Jesus, and Jesus is saying, I am glad you're here. And those things are like lifelong things I want you to get better at. His mercies are new every day morning. His compassions never fail. And that's for you in your own life. We're not just here to serve the kids. We want you to become better through this. Sorry, guys, skip all this stuff. Oh, man, there's lots. Okay, our buddies, the next 2 minutes, I put on the doors that the meeting goes to 8:10. So if you didn't notice that when you walked in, big marker because the printer didn't work. Ugly signs, but it's there till 8:10. Okay, these are our buddies. I forget what their names are, and everything is shine Jesus light. So the first day is when life feels dark, shine Jesus light. Huh?
Slogan.
What's
Life feels dark.
shine? Jesus shine is the slogan. Oh no, shine Jesus light. Okay, next day, when people don't get along, shine Jesus light. When good things happen, and I think it's a cool one to think about in the good and the bad. And in the good at times we go, I did that, I took care of myself, I got enough. Shine Jesus light. When people are sad, shine Jesus light. When people need help, shine Jesus light. And I think this last one's important because I really see someone growing in their faith, really loves God, loves the church, so loves each other, and serves the world. And so in this one, my hope is that we would ourselves become better and as well teach our kids to serve. Okay, this is important for you. This will go out in an email as well. This is what our day looks like. Similar to last year and all the other years, maybe it's a little bit longer because I want to make sure kids get as much time as possible. But leaders meeting, 8:15. Leaders meeting, we're going to have kind of very different this actually. We're going to go through some details for the day, changes, especially the first week. We went, this didn't work, so be flexible. We're going to pray together in prayer partners and have a little devotion. I'll have coffee made, so if you want to start drinking coffee that week, go ahead. I'm okay with that. Ask your parents. I'll even have like all this creamer to turn it into a pudding, okay? Like if you drink your coffee like a pudding, you'll grow up one day, okay? Opening chapel. We're all together for that. It's going to be amazing. This is where we kind of have stuff. Then we go to our rotations. We have our closing chapel at the end. And this is where I said, kids get picked up, goodbye snack, there's an experiment, debrief, and go home. So tell them, 1:10, 1:10. But the first day is 8 o'clock, earlier, because we open the doors at 8:30, and we want you already in the lobby so that when the kids are registered, we say, that's your leader, and they're going to come hang with you. And one thing I want to tell you about this year, everybody who's a small group leader has smaller groups. We found in the past, we sometimes have like 8, 9, 10 kids, and we go, okay, who's our most seasoned leader? We're going to put them with someone else so they can manage them. Well, it doesn't matter about managing, 5 of those kids don't get to know the leaders well. So we have probably like 20 or more small groups of like 3 to 4 kids with 1 or 2 leaders in it, because we want you to know each of them on the deepest possible level, and those kids feel even more comfortable. Yeah, Zena.
I noticed that the schedule of times changed a little bit, and there was always the kids' praise team meeting right before like the leaders meeting. What time will that be? Because it was usually at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So what time will that be?
It'll be same as before. So so everything is the same except just here. So whenever Kids Praise Team was meeting before, it will still line up with this schedule that we currently have. And I don't know the details on that, but Janice is connecting with all the families and the leaders of that. So good question. Yeah, Carson. Walk time, just getting from one spot to the next. Okay, and why do we have it? I talked about that. Something different this year is we've done a meal just for the volunteers. We want to engage families in ways we haven't done before, or do a better job, I guess. So we're doing an everybody that signed up and their families and you, we're going to have a giant ice cream party and hot dogs. So sorry if you don't like hot dogs. Mike said, you should boil some. I'm like, oh, that seems terrible. But some people don't like the lines on it. So we're going to actually roast them in the oven, best of both worlds. And we're going to have so many for every single person. So please invite your families. Tell your parents, Mom, usually Mom, my house is Mom, you don't have to cook or clean. Bring the whole family. Right? They're going to be there for that. Okay? So we want you there. And literally it's only a little bit after, and because lots of people head out for vacation, just come up in your RVs and quickly grab some dogs and go. So that's for everybody this year. And one of the last things, participate in everything. I'm trying to get to the end here. Oh, that's one of the worship songs. We're gonna make a folder. Lots to go through. I always got too much. This one you got to watch. That clock will say that clock is 2 minutes fast. This is a 2-minute video. So we have camp rules, but we didn't do them all. These are kind of VBS ones. These are actually more probably for you.
Hey, little chicken nuggets. It's me, Carl. Welcome to camp, or retreat, or whatever you call it. Y'all are gonna have a hoot of a time. And guess what? There are no rules. Psych! I got plenty of rules for you little fart sniffers. Rule number 1, no cell phones during big or small group time. No, it's better than looking at fresh memes? Spending time with Jesus. So if I catch you with a cell phone, you're gone. Rule number 2, dress appropriate. When you put your clothes on, ask yourself, will my great-grandpappy approve of this outfit? If the answer is no, you best put on something modest. Dress to impress. So if I catch you wearing something inappropriate, you're gone. And for goodness gracious, boys and girls, don't show your belly buttons. Belly buttons are freaky and should be hidden at all times. Belly buttons really freak me out, man. Rule number 3, respect your fellow peers and your leaders. Remember what happened to those kids in the Bible that made fun of the prophet Elisha? They became bear poopy. That's right, those bears ate those disrespectful kiddos. So if I catch you being disrespectful, you're gone. And you might be eaten by bears. That's a double whammy. Rule number 4, be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. I don't want any wanderers. Do you think those Israelites enjoyed wandering in the desert for 40 years? No way, Jose. They had sand in their slippers for 40 years. That's a long time. So if I catch you wandering, you're gone. And rule number 5, no public display of affection. PDA, more like PD nay. Not like neigh like a horse. Nay as in no. PD, no way. No PDA. If I catch you publicly displaying your affection, nothing's gonna happen. You'll be fine. Ha! Psych! You're gone! Ah! And if I missed any other rules, a grown human will tell you the rest. But seriously, y'all, just have a good time. But don't break my rules, or you're gone!
All I gotta say is 6 days till kickoff. These kids are gonna be more excited than, what's his name again? Dustin, thank you. More excited than Dustin, if you know who that is. But I am just excited and thankful for each of you. Some of it's trial by fire. You're like, there's so many things I'm unsure about still. We just want to take and have you do your best job in loving these kids. We make a program where we run everything, so it's not like, I gotta no, like you're always got someone leading you, and you're just that leader with the kids. So you can ask me any questions afterwards. I know you guys gotta go. I'm gonna pray. I've got so much going on. Let me just pray. Lord, I love you very much, and this team as well. It's a team that wants to make you known in the lives of these kids, and my prayer is that they would also get to know you better through the serving. Of course, they're going to, and so I just pray that we would become this beautiful image of a city on a hill where people go, wow, I actually don't know much about what's going on, but there's sure something different about those people, the way they spend their time, the way that they're loving kids. And we pray for just so many kids to come, that they would be invited even the day of or midweek coming late, and they would just say, wow, I feel like this is a place I've heard about Jesus, and I've learned to love Jesus. And that they would just have a sense that there's something different about you as our Savior. So Jesus, we love you. Thankful for this crew here. Pray for a safe drive. Probably will be on the way home. And just that, they would do whatever it takes to get to love you more as they are preparing for this week. You're good, God. Praise for your glory. Our joy. Amen. All right. Thank you, you chicken nuggets. We will see you.